Let's move on, though. We're almost done. 2 teams left in this podcast, and they are the 2 teams from last year's Big 12 title game. Big 10.
Big 10.
The Big 10 because they only have 10 teams?
Big 10, Big 14,
so
the Pac-19.
Sean's going to petition for the Big 12 to become the Big 10.
Bring the Big East back. Make the Big East great again.
Well, the Big East, aren't they technically still in basketball?
Yeah, but make them great again.
Yeah,
come on.
They got St. John's.
We missed the good Big East.
Well,
I missed the old
Kemba
Big
Walker.
East. Yeah,
the Kemba Walker days.
Put West Virginia back in there. Put Notre Dame back in there. Let's get this shit real.
You know what's funny when you brought up the 19 when you said the Pac-19?
What?
I used to do that in the college football games. The first year they had it to where you can kind of change conferences.
Yep.
I would always, whatever conference I was in, I would make it like a 20-team conference. Like as many teams as they would make me put, I would just add all these teams. Like even if they were like non-Power 5 teams, I would just add them in.
I would always put Tulsa into the Big 12.
Really?
Yeah, I was a big Tulsa guy for some reason.
I would always add Notre Dame into the Big 10.
I forget their quarterback. I would do that too. I forget their quarterback, Tulsa's quarterback. Welcome to the TCU preview, by the way. We started off the Oklahoma State one, talking about Mike Gundy's mullet.
Well, and the thing I'll mention first with TCU, because you bring them up while you're looking at who Tulsa's quarterback was back then.
It's like BJ or something. I'll figure it out.
This is a team, this should be, I'll be honest, this should be the favorite. No disrespect to Oklahoma. TCU should be the favorite to win the Big 12 this year.
I agree.
Like, they're a team that they're going to be good on defense. It's a Gary Patterson team. Of course, they're going to be good on defense. And this could be the most skilled offense that Gary Patterson has had in quite some time. Do you think, like, how much of a favorite? Should TCU be,
no,
I'm going to relate this NBA style, Golden State Warrior famous, Celtic or favorite, Celtic favorite, or like 76er favorite?
I don't know. I don't know what that is even referring to. I don't think they should be massive favorites, if that's what you're trying to say. I think, I mean, we look at the times TCU played Oklahoma.
He knows me. That's what I was trying to say.
Played Oklahoma last year. It's something where, they got blown out every single game. They lost by 42 combined points. And I know obviously that was with Baker Mayfield, but we still shouldn't disrespect Oklahoma that way. I favorite the Horned Frogs because I think that they are the most well-rounded team with a great, fantastic coach. And not saying, to disrespect Oklahoma, but losing Baker Mayfield, I think, is going to be a massive blow. And we're going to have to see how Lincoln Riley will deal with that change. Also, they snuck in, playing, getting that big win over Ohio State. I don't think Oklahoma's going to have that same edge and that same confidence that Baker brought to this team. So, even though Kyler Murray is a fantastic athlete, I don't think that, Oklahoma has the same talent that they did last year, and TCU, again, is consistently going to be a well-rounded team. So I think they should be favorite, but I don't think they should be massive favorites to answer your question.
And I mean, with Oklahoma, we'll get to them to end the podcast, but I just feel like they will take a step back. They're not going to be the number one team in the Big 12. To me, the only question that I really have when it comes to TCU is, surprise, surprise, Ricky's going to bring up the schedule. Last year, you looked at the non-conference games for TCU. Jackson State, I'm shocked that Jackson State didn't put up a point last year and lost 63-0, C says in his sarcasm voice. Then you have Arkansas, then you have SMU. This year, you have Southern, which should be an easy win, 65-0.
Yep.
Then you have SMU again. Yeah, it's on the road, but whatever. You should win that game. Then the question: you're playing. I almost said Oklahoma State. You're playing Ohio State.
Both at OSU.
Both at OSU. Well, this one's a neutral site game. It's a neutral site.
No, I'm saying both OSU.
Yeah.
Well, I was bailing you out.
It's a neutral site game, and it's going to be an ABC game as well. So Kurt Herbstreit will be in the building, and the game day crew will probably be in the building for that one. That, to me, is the biggest question game because TCU, like I said with Texas, I'm spoiling it again. I'm going to predict a TCU-Texas title game. I'm not going to predict who wins that, but that's the top two teams that I think will finish. Oklahoma will finish third in the Big 12 this year. The question for TCU is, do they go to the playoff if they win the conference? The only way they do that is you got to beat Ohio State.
Okay.
They have all the ingredients there to do exactly what Oklahoma did last year. Beat Ohio State, lose a Big 12 game, win the conference, go to the playoff.
I think it's more likely that they lose to Ohio State and run the table in the Big 12.
Okay.
I think
will that be enough for a playoff spot?
I think running the table, yeah. I think it could be, especially if you run the table and win the Big 12. I think it could be enough. I don't know if it will be enough, but it could. I mean,
that's
definitely
what I'm
puts
saying. Like,
it puts you in the top 5.
Do you think it will be enough? Not like could it be? Will it be?
I mean, it's dependent on what Ohio State does for the rest of the season in the Big 12. Because if they have that marquee win over Ohio State, and then they do well in the Big 10, then that's probably going to give them a spot. And we assume that 2 SEC teams will be in there, and we assume Clemson the way they are, they'll get in. So I mean, it probably puts them outside the top 4 if they lose to Ohio State. But again, Ohio State, that might be their biggest win of the season, and they might falter in the Big 10. Well, we never know.
Let's put it this way: last year, Alabama and Georgia both made it. Clemson made it. If Ohio State beats Oklahoma, they are 13-1 at the end of the year. Oklahoma is 11-3. They would have less losses than Oklahoma. Ohio State would probably be in the playoff.
Yeah.
So to me, that game, Ohio State TCU, could be a quarterfinal game for the playoff.
The thing is with TCU, though, is I don't think they have that next level playmaker to take them over the top. So that's why when they're going up against Ohio State, or even then, the next week against Texas, or Saturday, October 20th against Oklahoma, will they have enough coming from their offense or coming from their defense to have that big star step up and take over the reins? Because we saw last year with every single team, they all had those dynamic playmakers. Baker. For Oklahoma, we look at Georgia. They had their 2 running backs, and they obviously had Jake Fromm. We look at Alabama. They had everyone on their defense, and then obviously you saw the good old what's the freshman quarterback's name? What's the freshman quarterback name for Alabama?
Tua.
Yeah, we saw Tua. Yeah, we saw Tua step up.
I just call him Tua.
We saw Tua step up in the championship games, and obviously they had good old Calvin Ridley on the outside. We look at you mentioned Clemson. Clemson had that defense. Clemson had the playmaker quarterback as well. So I mean, they don't have that playmaker right now for TCU. And if they step up and one of the quarterbacks step up, taking over for Kenny Hill, then maybe this team will be able to be a playoff team. But it's tough for me to put them in the college football playoff. But it's not too hard for me to put them at least in the Big 12 title game.
Yeah, and I mean, that is the thing for me, because like when I look at this offense for TCU, you've got 3 4-star receivers, you've got 3 4-star running backs, and you got 3 4-star junior college offensive tackles that have been coming in with the last 3 recruiting classes.
Offensive tackles? 1 offensive tackle.
1 offensive tackle. I was just keeping the trend going. It was really 1. Thanks for correcting me with that one. But I mean, you've got all these talented guys coming in. It's how much hype is going to, like, that's the thing that I think might be the biggest thing to overcome for this TCU team, is overcoming the hype that not just we in the national spotlight are going to put, but I'm assuming TCU fans, you're seeing all this talent. You're just as hyped as we are.
And the biggest thing for this team to be good to great is that offense, because not only are you losing the quarterback in Kenny Hill, you're also losing that offensive line. You got to take that offensive line and rebuild it, and you have to turn it from just being a one that's going to just be serviceable. You need to have a good to great offensive line if you want to be a college football playoff team. So there's going to be questions coming into this TCU team. We favor them because Gary Patterson has a great track record. We favor them because they have one of the best defenses, if not the best defense in the Big 12. And even then, they might have a top 10 defense in all of college football. So we favor that. But what will they be able to do on offense? Will they be able to do enough? That's why that Ohio State game, I'm not going to favor TCU. And then when it comes to that Texas game, you're playing at Austin. So that might be, right away, you might be starting 2-2, and there goes your college football playoff hopes. And you have Oklahoma at home, which is going to be a major plus. But even then, Oklahoma, if they have enough offensively in Kyler Murray, will you be able to keep up with that high pace that we expect from a Lincoln Riley offense? So even though I favor them and I think they're going to be in the Big 12 title game, I don't know if they're for sure the best team in the Big 12. They have the ability to, and they obviously have the track record to be the best team in the Big 12. But, and I think the less question marks out of Oklahoma, Texas, all the teams we talked about so far. But I don't know if they'll be able to overcome that because, again, Oklahoma is consistently getting these next level athletes. Where TCU, it's consistently 4-star recruits, it's consistently 3-star recruits. They don't have those next level pro type players. Where you look at Oklahoma, they got #1 pick in the draft. Baker Mayfield. We look at Kyler Murray. This kid's a 2-star athlete, and I think he was a 5-star quarterback coming out of high school. They're able to attract those big names, those next level athletes. Gary Patterson probably does a better job of coaching these players to turn them into great players. But again, talent wise, we look at Oklahoma's, we look at Texas, we look at Ohio State's. They're consistently getting better, talented players. But again, it might comes down to, again, this is why TCU is so high up in the Big 12. They're being coached the right way in Gary Patterson. So will they have enough coaching, and will that be able to balance out the talent differential between these teams? And again, it's fairly small, fairly minimal between these two teams. I think this chair's
thought you were going to fall?
It's fairly minimal between these two teams, but it's something that might make the difference in the end.
To me, the guy I'm looking at on offense is Sean Robinson. And the reason why I'm looking at him is not only is he the quarterback, and we always look at the quarterback, but coming in, it was supposed to be Sean Robinson and then 4-star Justin Rogers. Well, Justin Rogers is probably going to redshirt this season as he recovers from knee surgery. It's Sean Robinson's job. The sophomore is going to have it. And the thing I look at with TCU, maybe this is me, a non-TCU mind looking at it, is TCU's had good seasons in the past. They were 11-3 last year. They had 11 wins in 2015, 12-1 in 2014. But to me, the only time in my lifetime that TCU has been to a major New Year's Six, and I'm actually going to look at, since I was born in 1990, they have only been to a New Year's Six bowl one time.
Twice?
No.
Fiesta and Rose, 2009.
Oh, that's right, the Fiesta Bowl. So twice. I'm thinking, though, 2010. And actually, 29 or 09 helps me just as well because I believe in 2009 and in 2010 they had the same quarterback that I was going to bring up is Andy Dalton. And Sean Robinson, I'm not going to say he's going to be on the same level that Andy Dalton was on, but that's what you like. TCU's been good. To me, they need that quarterback. They need Sean Robinson to channel his inner Andy Dalton and kind of elevate them to an undefeated team. The only way they make the playoff, in my mind, is if they go undefeated.
And the biggest thing for them, for TCU, is I understand where you're going with, but it's the conference. They can afford that loss against Ohio State. They really can. But looking at their history,
I see them only losing maybe one game in conference.
When looking at Gary Patterson's history throughout the conference, the worst season that they've had and have had 10 wins on the season. This is in conference. The least amount of wins that they've had in conference and have had a very good season of 10 wins or more was 6-2. 2002, they went 6-2 at the conference and finished 10-2. Then we look at 11-1 when they went 11-1 in 2005, 8-0. When they went 12-1 in 2009, 8-0. 13-0, 8-0. 11-2, 7-0. 12-1, 8-1. 11-3, 7-2. 11-2, 7-2. I mean, it's pretty much boom or bust in the conference since they've joined the Big 12 too. It's either boom or bust in the conference, and this has been just consistent throughout Gary Patterson's time with the TCU Horned Frogs, whether it's in the Mountain West, Conference USA, or the Big 12. If you are able to win in your conference, you are going to be an 11-plus win team or 10-plus win team this season. So the biggest thing for them is in the conference. It doesn't matter if you lose to Ohio State. It really matters about this conference. That's going to be the pinnacle and really the tipping point for TCU this year.
Well, and maybe because, maybe the reason I'm focusing so much on the Ohio State is with my prediction with this
the
team,
Ohio State win will put them in the playoffs.
Well, yeah.
That's the thing.
But the thing I was going to say is maybe I'm harping so much on it is because I expect it to go, like I said, I kind of hinted this with the Texas. I feel like Texas is going to be in that game. I already said they'll lose to TCU. I think that, yes, TCU could possibly lose to Oklahoma. I'm going to say TCU wins. I feel confident that TCU this year, all Sean Robinson needs to do is play at a level good enough to elevate this team. They can win out in this conference. yes, we talked about West Virginia. Yes, that game's in Morgantown. I like this TCU roster more than that Morgantown team, that West Virginia team, that defense is going to be decimated this year and won't be as strong as they should be. To me, it's 3 games on the schedule because Iowa State, I'm going to kind of move them to the side too because I think they can compete with a Texas. I don't think they can compete with a TCU.
I think they can compete with TCU because you're looking at 2 great defenses there. And the thing with that is who's just going to get the crucial turnover, who's going to be able to do enough offensively. That's the biggest thing in those type of games. So I think that's going to be closer. I think it's closer for Iowa State to beat a TCU than it is a Texas because, I mean, the biggest 2 strong points of those teams is their defense. So it's just really, can you get the right turnovers at the right time? And even last year, that game between those 2 teams was close.
It was 14-7, and the big kind of downfall in that game was Kenny Hill had 2 turnovers and had no touchdowns.
That was the reason they won. And I remember watching the game. It was a great game between those 2, even though it was only 14-7. So that's the biggest thing with those 2 teams is who's going to have the best defense, who's going to have that crucial turnover, who's going to be able to turn the tide. And the biggest thing about that was it was at Iowa State. So now at least Gary Patterson will at least get to flip that, redo it, rerun it. At TCU this year.
Do you think that there's going to be, coming into this year, do you think that if we had to judge out of all the Big 12 teams, we'll just say just the top, because obviously Kansas is going to have no pressure on them this year. Would you say TCU out of all the Big 12 teams might have the most pressure coming into this year?
No, it's Texas. Because TCU, you're pretty much expecting to win. I mean, it's not really. It's not playoff or bust for TCU.
I mean, like, not pressure like...
Gary Patterson's going to keep his job, no matter what.
Well, and I'm not saying pressure like that. I'm saying pressure like, all right...
They're the only hope for Big 12?
No.
What are you talking about?
Like a pressure of, like, game to game.
They'll be the favorites in every single game?
All right, we're the favorite in this game. It's a pressure, like... Basically, what I'm trying to get at is it's like those teams we think about where it's like, man, this team... They'll
have the targets on their back.
Exactly. It's like we're this team, playoff team, and that's like they come out week 2. It's like, whoa, we did not expect
Try to decipher Ricky Widmer, what he's trying to say.
That's why I've got you here. You're one of the best at trying to decipher what I'm trying to say. That's what I mean. Are they going to have the biggest target on their back, or is that still Oklahoma?
I think it's still Texas and Oklahoma, just because of the names that they bring. I mean, TCU's still
it's like
new.
The Red Sox and the Yankees.
Yeah, TCU's still technically new to the game. I mean, they're still new to the Big 12.
After coming up from the kids' table in the Mountain West.
It's still Texas and Oklahoma because, again, Oklahoma was a playoff team last year. What are they going to do without Baker? Focus is going to be on them. Texas, this is still Texas. This is Tom Herman. They have a ton of hype around them. TCU is expected to be good, but I don't think anyone's expecting them to make the playoffs. So the target's big because you know you're going up against a good team. But then again, I think people still might overlook TCU and be like, all right, well, they don't have that great quarterback. They don't have those outstanding players. But that's where Gary Patterson comes in with his great coaching ability, and he's able to win those big games and those necessary games and really give those players edges. So I think it's going to end up being a successful year for TCU. I said Big 12 title game. I'm not picking a winner of that one because I have no idea what's going to happen. But they beat Southern. They beat SMU. I think they lose to Ohio State. They beat Texas. God, I hope this lines up to what I said earlier with every single team. They beat Iowa State. They beat Texas Tech. They will beat Oklahoma in a revenge game. Beat Kansas.
Lose to Kansas.
Beat Kansas State. Lose to West Virginia. Beat Baylor. Beat OK State.
Do you think Dave, because you weren't on for the Kansas one, if Kansas beats TCU, will that save Dave Beatty's job in Kansas? He won't get fired if they beat TCU?
I think if they have a point differential less than 20, he'll keep his job.
Okay. Less than 20. 21, he's out of there.
If they're getting blown up by 21 consistent,
too many points.
Yeah, but if it's we're losing them less than 3 touchdowns, he might keep his job.
When I look at this schedule,
when you're a team like Kansas, why does it matter?
It doesn't.
It doesn't. You're screwed.
They're
Your
a
team
basketball
sucks.
school.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Just wait till basketball
it's like
season.
Duke. It's like North Carolina.
Yeah. Just wait till. Duke's been kind of okay at football.
Kansas did that one year against Mangino or whatever his name was.
Yep.
And
Chuck, I believe, was his first name. I think.
No, it's Bill.
Bill? Whatever. It's a long time ago.
Eric. Was it Eric?
That was right before. No, you're thinking Eric Mangini. That's who you're thinking of. That was before Charlie Weiss too.
Yeah. Hold on. Keep talking.
Well, the thing I was going to say is one loss this year.
Mark Mangino.
For me, one loss this year, though, for TCU, and that's going to be Ohio State. That is regular season only. That is not title game. I said it before. I've got my Big 12 title game picked out. It's going to be Texas with one loss going up against TCU with one loss. TCU, though, is going to be undefeated in the conference, so they'll hold the number 1 seed. And then I'm not picking a winner in that game yet because I don't know who would win. But I feel like this could be a year where the Big 12 sees a TCU team go only one loss, win it all, and then don't make the playoffs because they lost to Ohio State.
Did I say 2 losses for TCU in the Big 12?
Yeah, no. You said Ohio State and Oklahoma.
No, I said they beat Oklahoma. I said 1 loss against West Virginia.
Or is that it?
Yeah. Okay, so they're going to finish with 1 loss. They're going to go to the title game. They're going to take on Oklahoma.
Okay. Yeah, I'm on the other side.
And that's going to be Oklahoma's only loss in the Big 12.
I feel like that's going to be it, though, where it's going to be TCU is the for sure team in the conference title game. It's just who are they going to play, Oklahoma or Texas?
Let's play this fun game.
Okay.
Before Mark Mangino, Mangino had two times where he's had 7 or more wins in back-to-back seasons.
Mm-hmm.
Name the last time they've had 2 back-to-back seasons where they were above 500.
0.
No, it's happened. I wouldn't ask the question if it didn't happen.
2.
No, when was the last time?
Oh, like years,
buddy.
When was? Give me a date range. Now until when?
You were born, or it was around your birth.
I would say what? 1994, 5.
1991, 1992,
Okay.
6 and 5 and 8 and 4.
I felt like it.
Oh,
had
I'm sorry,
to be
94,
back in the
95, 6 and 5 and 10 and 2.
So technically, I was right.
Yeah, you were right.
Damn, right on the head. Any final thoughts on TCU before we move on into the Boomer Sooner?
They'll beat Kansas.
Well, yeah. The entire Big 12 should probably beat Kansas. If you lose to Kansas, you should probably move out of the Power 5. But this is where you guys come in. Let us know what you think down below in the comment section.
Oh, wait. Who is the Tulsa quarterback? I got to finish that out.
No, you didn't give that one.
I got to find him.
All right. We're stalling here.
BJ? Was it BJ? BJ? What's his name? I got to find Tulsa quarterbacks. I got to be better at quarter.
We completely forgot about that Tulsa quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, people are probably dipping out already, so it's fine. Let's go to ranker.com. List of Tulsa quarterbacks, best to worst. Dane Evans, no. Gus Frerotte, no. G.J. Kinney. Remember
Gus Frerotte?
Remember G.J. Kinney?
I remember Gus Frerotte like in the NFL.
It was G.J. Kinney.
G.J.?
That was a guy. G.J.
Like, G.J.?
G.J.
Wow, that's
Kinney.
Usually it's like JJ or DJ. No, it's GJ.
GJ.
GJ Kinney. Well,
GJ Kinney.
Let us know what you guys think about TCU down below in that comment section.